Hey guys, I'm Dave. I'm here with Chris, and we're going to talk about our DraftKings lineups for week 1. We're going to talk about who we picked, and we're going to give you some other options too, in case you disagree with us. How's it going, Chris?
How dare they? It's going well, and I'm excited. We're going to do this every week. We're going to have a DraftKings themed show on the old YouTube channel, and it's sort of all circulating around a contest that people who listen to the podcast have known about for years now that DraftKings runs for us. Now it's open to YouTube viewers as well as podcast listeners. Same group. I think it's going to. They set like a maximum size for the room. It's 1,000 people, and as of our recording this, they're already up to 600. So it's definitely going to fill. It's a cool contest. It's basically $5 to enter. DraftKings doesn't take a rake, and the money goes back to the winners in this 1,000-person group. And then in addition, we're going to keep score. And on this show every week, we'll tell what the standings are for each month chunk. At the end of each month, we'll announce who the cumulative winner is over the past month, and they'll win a one-on-one Skype session with me, which, Dave, I know you value highly.
I do this weekly. I get to hear you say cumulative. It's great.
I nailed that, by the way. Can I just say? Can I just say
Yes.
golf applause? But anyway, so if people aren't on DraftKings yet and they're thinking they've heard about it and would like to try it, so it's a game where you have a salary cap, right? And you try to assemble the best team that you can under the salary cap for that week, and the next week you can pick all new guys again. It's like 1 week fantasy league. All you have to do is download DraftKings app or go to DraftKings.com. We would prefer that you use the code HarrisTube. That will actually get you a free entry, and you can use that on our contest for this week. And I think you're telling me that the link is somewhere below us?
Yep. I'll have a link for joining with HarrisTube, and I will have a link for this week's Week 1 contest will also be there. So whatever you need,
Right.
check the comments or the description and join up.
Right. And so that we should mention, we're going to get to our picks, I'm sorry, but we should mention that link will change every week. So it's not always the same room. Like it'll change. They send me a private link. It's only for our listeners and viewers. And okay. All right. So anyway, week 1, Dave. Woo. Let's talk
Week
about
1. I'm so excited that football's back. I made 2 lineups, right? And you sent me your lineup last night to get ready for the show. And I looked at it and went, oh man, Chris and I have 4 of the same picks. That's not going to be great for the show. I will use my other lineup and talk about it. And I counted, and we still had 4 of the same picks, even in my alternate lineup.
Well, that just means you listen to my show too much. Stop listening. That's generally seems to be the consensus on Twitter right now. Don't listen to Harris. So if you just followed that advice,
then
you
I
would have had a much more.
Yeah, I'd have a lot more free time without the show or the YouTube show, honestly.
Well, that part is definitely true. All right, so what are we doing? We're feeling our way through this first episode. We're gonna talk about our quarterbacks first.
Yeah, let's work our way from top on down for the positions. So,
all right, so I'll give my lineup though, all the way through, down, all the way down. All right, so we'll start with quarterback. I have Drew Brees. Not the most expensive, not the least expensive. He might be number 3, I think, or maybe number 2, but he's very far behind Lamar Jackson in terms of expense. I just think fully rock solid. Like I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be great. The Saints got the band back together. I'm perfectly good using Drew Brees. The running back reveal gives you the big number. I mean, I did it. I picked Christian McCaffrey for 10,000. What is he, like 2,000 more than any other player in DraftKings this week? Am I right about it? Maybe even more than that?
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one who gets the extra digit, right? Because he's 10.
Right. So I have him. I have the Jack Gerbil, Josh Jacobs. Jacobs is just, I think, not quite properly valued yet by the market. They're playing against each other in the same game, so I'm been clearly in the tank for Jacobs. I haven't been as in the tank for McCaffrey in the past. He's my number 2 overall pick this year, but I like him very much in this spot. I think both the Raiders and the Panthers defenses have a chance to be bad. The receivers, I was able to afford. I mean, obviously, I've gone expensive at this point, right? And we'll talk strategy in that regard. But I've gone expensive by getting McCaffrey. It starts and studs and duds. It doesn't let me afford much else. You can see I don't mind Allen Robinson at 6,500. That's not too bad. I actually think Terry McLaurin is undervalued at 5,600. Can we just not maybe talk about Parris Campbell being on this team at 3,900? Because what I'm hoping for there is they T.Y. Hilton and Parris Campbell switch uniforms accidentally. Like it's a crazy trading places thing. And then they throw like 8 times to Parris Campbell. And then Parris takes off his helmet and goes, you can cut T.Y. Hilton. And then I get a lot of fantasy points. It's an extended fantasy sequence.
Yeah.
their date.
You put a lot of work into building this lineup.
Fiction writer, baby. So then at tight end, I have Hayden Hurst. I said this on the podcast that I don't know that Hayden Hurst is good, but maybe there is an Austin Hooper-shaped hole in the Atlanta lineup, and just any tight end that's marginally athletic gets in there and gets a bunch of targets. We're going to talk about other potential $4,000 running backs, but Chris Thompson wound up being my choice, and I don't pay for defenses. So I have one of the two least expensive defenses, the Washington defense, Chase Young, 100 sacks.
Well, that'll probably win you this contest this week. That'll be exciting.
How about you?
Well, I also have Washington, so we'll be tied for first in this. but I'm working my way down.
Yeah.
So I paid up. I got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I'd considered going a little cheaper here if we want to talk about maybe at the same time some of the quarterbacks we looked at. I had done the alternate build and I had paid middle of the pack for Cam.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought very much about Lamar, to be honest. I tried to build a lineup around Lamar and Christian McCaffrey, and that's somewhat thinking about last year and how they just on DraftKings every week would just win you. If you had both, that was it. Forget it. You obviously often couldn't afford them both, but even having one was like 40 or 50 points every week, and I tried to build a lineup with both, and I did not get there. But I did think about Brady instead of in the same game as Brees. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the two between Cam and Lamar is a 2,000 swing, which really dictated, some things.
Sure.
But I was not getting McCaffrey, like you said. So I paid down at my running backs. I went and grabbed Chris Thompson like you did, and I also grabbed Antonio Gibson. So I grabbed two $4,000 guys.
4,000 running backs. Wow.
Yeah.
That is a bold maneuver. I mean, they're coming probably at dollars per point, which is a big DFS strategy, right? We're just trying to maximize dollars per or points per dollar, I guess. There's probably a lot of value in points per dollar. It's tough to see both hitting enough for you to win a GPP. I mean, that actually is the way to win a GPP. Our pool, maybe it's not the way to win because the odds of them both hitting are pretty slim, but if they did both hit in a GPP, the problem is, of course, that everybody now knows that these prices are totally inefficient. So these guys are going to be widely owned. These prices for week one they're set, months before we know Darius Guice doesn't even play for Washington, or Leonard Fournette doesn't play for Jacksonville, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. Well, I was scanning because especially week one, I feel like there's more values, right? Because we haven't seen it this year yet. And so I started by looking for the cheap running backs, found the two of them, and was kind of deciding which guy do I go for? Like, I felt like you had to be in a camp or the other because a lot of people have them. And then that was my pivot was I'll take both.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'll add into the mix James Robinson on the same team. I would like you, especially because it's PPR. I have Thompson, as I said, in my lineup, but I could see the swerve, the veer to say there's no one else. I mean, I don't think Divine Azigbo is getting a lot of early down carries. I think as much as we know nothing about James Robinson, you could make the argument that he's a lock for 15 touches.
Yeah. And when you're paying down, that's what you're really wanting. You're looking at that volume.
Absolutely. Did you want to hit on other running backs that we were considering, or do you want to go through the rest of your lineup?
Yeah. So who else did we? I had built that other lineup and I had paid up for Eckler. Eckler is like 7,000. But again, it's a PPR.
Sure.
But I couldn't make that work with Lamar.
But there's just going to be a lot of lineups that build around him. There's no question. I don't think you look at the Bengals matchup and you go, "Oh God, I can't." There aren't many "Oh God" matchups for Week 1 because we don't know what these teams are. So I'm not going to overemphasize matchup. How's Eckler not getting 15 plus touches and 10 points out of receptions? Like, it almost feels like it's fated to happen. I could see people using Marlon Mack in various iterations. I was trying to squeeze Mack on. There was no way if I was going to take McCaffrey. But like Dave, I don't know if you're paying any attention to the farts and whistles coming out of Indianapolis, or as you like to call it, Indiana. But they're making noises like, oh, well, this, as I called him on the podcast, Jonathan Stewart kid, this young rookie, Jonathan Stewart, of course I meant Jonathan Taylor, boy, he might come in the second quarter and spell Marlon Mack when Mack is tired. I assume this is all misinformation, but I think it's a good enough. Jacksonville does look like one of those matchups I wouldn't mind playing, like you said, and so I could see Mack being on my team.
Yeah, I mean, it could remind me of the ranks show we did for this week on the YouTube channel, right? You talked about Mack, talked about Ingram, right?
Yeah, I think Ingram too. Actually, how is that? Are people that scared of Dobbins? What's Ingram's price? 5,500?
Yeah, 5,500. Yeah.
Yeah, 5,500. Yeah, like weirdly lowly priced. I wished I could have figured it. Anyway, our goal here is to maybe just throw out a few extra names beyond our lineup, so that as you're constructing, obviously you don't want to wind up with the exact same lineup that Dave and I do, because then we'll tie in the contest. But ideas of players that we also were looking at. What'd you do at receiver? I don't even remember.
Oh, I didn't even say it yet, so we're okay. I paid up for Davante Adams at 7,300. Oh,
okay. Well, no, I have no problem with it. There aren't any corners left in Minnesota. I get it. What made you pick him over the other guys in the same exact? Like, there are a bunch of guys in that low 7,000 range.
Well, instead of he's a good player, and
sure, in
building the two lineups, I also had considered Rodgers a little bit, and I was thinking about the stack, but I didn't end up doing that. I went with Lamar. For our league, like you kind of mentioned it, we're not really a GPP, so I don't feel as required to try those kind of strategies.
Yeah, right. You just take all the $4,000 running backs, that's my strategy. Not cheap. Right, Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like our contest actually is sort of a mix of like a giant GPP type contest, 50-50 contest, even some head-to-head action in it too. It's a weirdly sized. They don't do a lot of contests of this size, where it's a good idea to take some chances and hit a home run, but in order to cash, you don't need to just completely luck into 8 Demarcus Robinson touchdowns, right? That's sort of the difference.
So I took Adams. I took Kenny Galladay, who's right now listed as questionable. Which is another reason that I wanted to have 2 lineups ready, because if Sunday morning came, I could do it. He's going to play, though. That was my thought. And it also gave me a way to diversify he's listed as questionable. Some people stay away from this, but as far as I know, he's going to play, and I'm going to get a little diversity.
That's fair.
And then Terry McLaurin, who you also had. So we're overlapping there.
You paid for receivers this week for sure, and I guess that's entirely about the mispricing of these running backs.
Right, because I started at the running backs and had some money left over, and was happy with who I could get.
Good. Yes, good for sure. Good receivers. I mean, I know I was considering Emmanuel Sanders. I've talked him up as I think we're undervaluing in season-long drafts. I did a YouTube show about him, right, where I showed some film and just tried to remind people, like, it's not Traquan Smith anymore. He's a really good player, and I think he's going to score some touchdowns in the red zone. You're going to be surprised. I don't feel the need to take the plunge week 1, I guess. It was close. I was thinking about it. I obviously like Adams more than I like Adam Thielen, but the differentiation between, 7,300 and 6,700, that's probably the same neighborhood. I'm thinking that some people who wind up amassing a lineup that maybe can't quite get to Adams like yours was able to get to. If you can get away with $600 less and do Thielen, I like him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I should change out the Washington's defense to diversify from you to save that little money.
You're trying to not tie with me.
Yes.
Marquise Brown, another one, 5,100. I was surprised. That seems low for given. I mean, I guess he's a little bit of a boom bust, and there's a lot of touchdowns that can be scored by other players, but I have a feeling we're not going to see Marquise Brown at 5,100 that frequently.
Yeah, I didn't have enough spots to slot him, because I looked at him for stacking for Lamar Jackson with him, but instead I went and got Mark Andrews for tight end.
Okay.
Because the price different, I wasn't going to reach for him in season-long drafts personally. Okay. But for this, the price difference between Mark Andrews and like paying all the way up for Kittle or something like that, I felt like there could be
1,300 or something. Yeah. So I was able to get Mark. I get it. Yeah. That's the beauty of the whole DFS notion, is you don't have to love a guy for the whole year.
Yep. But my flex is a guy we both love. I also have Josh Jacobs. This is where we overlap. This is why my lineup had so much.
Well, you cheated so hard, dude. You did the big reveal with the 2 $4,000 running backs, and then you were like, "Oh, my little flex, my little cheap flex. I have Josh Jacobs." You liar! I was like, "Wow, he really went super cheap at running back." No, he went super cheap at running back 2 and flex. You liar!
I did. It's truly disingenuous because I read it differently off my sheet of paper here to save the reveal.
That is harsh. So were there I can't remember whether we thought there were other tight ends that people could take a look at. I said Ertz, right? I don't mind. I think Ertz has been undervalued I think Ertz is better. Maybe not better bet this week, but maybe. Like, I like Ertz better than Andrews in season long.
Yeah, and he's cheaper too.
Yeah.
So Ertz is only 5,800.
Right.
But I went for the little mini stack. I was trying that strategy.
Yeah, sure. And Jack Doyle 3,600.
Jack Doyle's buried so far down that I didn't even see him when I was building my lineup.
All right, so other defenses that we were thinking about. You mentioned Seattle.
I like Seattle because I just like Seattle. I think they're a good defense. I feel like they're getting a little underrated. Like, I like the players there. And I don't care that they're playing Atlanta.
Sure. I mean, the Jamal Adams question, right? He's an awfully good player. It just feels like, and Atlanta wouldn't, Atlanta doesn't strike you as the ultimate plum matchup, but it doesn't strike fear into my heart either. There's probably going to be some points there, but there's also potential for big plays. And I said if you were going to pay a more full dollar kind of, I was surprised Baltimore was 3,100 what are the Patriots, 30? I can't remember. Oh, the Bills. The Bills were 38.
Yeah, the Bills were a lot higher, which I get.
Yeah.
They're good defense against the Jets, but paying down for the Ravens feels easier to build around.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, Mitch and I on the show, we've just kind of we're done. Defenses, we're done. We don't need it. They're random. We don't need it. So my advice for this week one contest is don't pay for a defense, but that could, there were weeks last year when the Patriots would, have 3 pick sixes and 4 sacks, and you'd be like, you're an idiot. So
yeah, it feels good if you can predict pick sixes. You go ahead and pick that defense every week, guys.
Wait, and the Patriots defense sure slowed down in the second half last year, as I can only attest. All right, well, so I think we want to know what yours. I mean, don't tell us your full lineup down in the comments because you want it to be your own in our contest, obviously.
Yeah, don't be like us revealing it.
Right. That's always the problem. Is how am I going to win this thing outright? I cash every so often, but I'm probably not going to win it outright revealing my my contest. But now you're in the same boat as me. But yeah, give us feedback. Let us know what would be more useful for you in these Thursday shows. We would love for you to play in this contest with us. Again, if you haven't started a DraftKings account, get the app or go to DraftKings.com. Use the promo code HarrisTube. It'll get you a free contest that you can use on our link, which Dave show notes right there.
Show notes and top pinned comment. Whichever one you want to click.
Right. Oh, and topped pin comment. Well done, Mr. Hewitt. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you on DraftKings.
Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment. Tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on. And of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.